Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. As we read Psalm 119 over the next few days, it's important to key in on not only some facts that David brings out about God's law, but also David's attitude about God's law. David enjoyed God's law and enjoyed God's word, and he saw it as something beneficial and helpful, but also something that he delighted in. And we see some of that in our reading today. In verse 18, he saw it as containing wonderful things. And then in verse 20, he longed for God's judgments, the judgments that are contained in the law. And then in verse 24, he said God's testimonies delighted him. David was a person who just enjoyed God's word. He enjoyed being in God's word. He enjoyed meditating on God's word. He couldn't, it's as though he couldn't even wait until he could get back into God's word and to really take in and soak in the beautiful truths that are contained in there. And so this ought to cause us to pause and say, well, what is our attitude towards God's word? Is it the same as David's? Do we enjoy God's word? Do we look forward to doing our Bible reading every day? Or do we see it as a burden? Do we see it as an inconvenience? Or do we see it as irrelevant? Or do we just see it as something we need to check off of our list? Or do we really enjoy God's word? Often we're not in God's word as often as we should be, or even as much as we'd like to be, not because we don't have the time or for other reasons, but it very well could be the case that it's just because our attitude is wrong. We don't really have God's word as a priority. Perhaps we wait until we have everything else we want to do done and then try to squeeze in God's word in there, instead of making God's word really a priority for our lives, to the point that we just long to be in the word. We long to take it in. We long to study it and to make all those connections within the text and just really analyze it and break it apart and soak it in. We should have the same attitude that the psalmist had towards God's word, to love it, to delight in it, to long for it. If we will do that, we will have no problems getting into God's word every day, because we would make time for it, and we would clear our schedule to make sure we were able to do that. And it would become a lot easier for us and a lot more natural for us to get into God's word each and every day. So again, as we go through Psalm 119, let's be inspired by David's attitude towards God's law, and let's follow suit and try to take on those same attitudes that he had, so that we too can be in God's word and draw the benefits that come from it. So these are some things we can reflect on and think about as we are reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.